Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei and I'm so excited to paint with you today. We're going to do another page in our watercolor journal books. And if you're new here, this is what we do. We paint something different, fun, experimental maybe, unique in our watercolor journal books every day. And we try to do it without taking it too seriously. This is our safe space to learn and grow as an artist. So we're kind of in a mixed media world right now with line and wash or ink and watercolor. So I'm going to be using an ink pen. This is a Fudenosuke, Tombow is the brand, but a Fudenosuke brush pen. It's a hard brush pen, so it doesn't have a lot of bend or give to it. It has a nice fine tip. I'm going to be working in my Bao watercolor journal. This is a 6x9 size. I have a size 8 round brush. This is a silver black velvet. And then for my paints, I have them tucked over here. I have my Core Mini Palette QOR by Golden. And I have an enameled butcher tray here for just a little bit more mixing area and my water. So let's get started. So for this one, I am going to do something a little more illustrative. And I think I'm just going to do a pot on a plant stand with some lavender or mums in it. I'm not sure which yet, but let's focus on the pot first. So with this line and wash, I want it to be, it's going to be illustrative, but I want it to have a little character to it. So I'm not going to worry about it being perfect. I want it to be a little wonky. That gives it a little bit of charm and whimsy. My lines are not going to be perfectly straight or even. The texture of our paper does help with that. So this paper is 100% cotton, 140 pound. That's the weight or the thickness of it. Cold press. So cold press does have a texture to it. Hot press is much more smooth. So I enjoy cold press for lots of reasons. But we're going to start with the top of our pot and we're just going to make a line here. I'm going to come down to the side, go across like this, and just make like a bowl shape. So this is going to be the pot that our flowers are going to be in. And then I'm going to place this on a plant stand. And basically, I'm going to make a very kind of narrow oval. And whoops, I messed that up a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it. I wanted this to be a little bit more parallel with or in line with this over here, but you know what? Let's just make it work. I'm going to put a little front on it. So I'm going to go down the sides here and then do a parallel line to the one on top. And you can see you don't have to, you can sketch your way through, let your lines be a little broken. Don't get too caught up in it. Now the fun part, I'm going to try to create like a little scroll, and I have no plan for this, but I think they're both going to come to like a bar here. So I'm just going to draw this in and I'm going to make like a scroll like that. I'm going to try to do the same on the other side. There we go. And then I'm going to make them 3-dimensional like this. Or not 3-dimensional, but not just a line. Perfect. Okay. And then in the back, we'll just put another line, like there's another one coming from the other direction, but you're only going to see it from the one side. Maybe you'll see a little bit of the curl here like that or something like that. It's really going to come down like that. Okay. So that is our plant stand, and you can add more ornamentation onto it if you want, but you don't have to. So I'm going to have a striped pot, and I'm going to draw in those stripes, and I'm going to make them not all the same. So some of them are going to be thin, and some are going to be almost the same. And then we're going to go thicker, So I'm trying to purposely make them a little weird or not even. How'd I do? All right, and we're going to paint that in with some different colors later. So let's get into our flower. Do we want this to be a mum? It is that mum season, or do we want it to be lavender? I guess I'm going lavender because I went tall with the stalks here. So I'm going big, and then basically I'm just going to draw or doodle my way through the top of the lavender. And there's going to be a lot of this. You can see. And then I'm going to draw like leaves in here with the stems. Kind of skipping all over the place a little bit. I'm just going to work my way all the way across. So this is pretty, can be pretty therapeutic or super annoying depending on your personality. Some people just want to get to the painting part. And you can do this part second also. You don't have to do this first. You can kind of paint in some loose greenery and stipple in some purple with your lavender first, and then add lines on to create more structure and texture. So come off here, and you can also do almost all of it and then come back and do more line later. It is important to have, so this pen is a permanent archival ink. This is a pigment-based ink. So it won't reactivate in the water when I add water to it. So now I'm just going through and kind of adding, this side is a little higher, so I'm going to throw in, I mean, lavender is pretty wild and funky and doesn't grow all in even line, but I just want it to be overall balanced. One more in here. There we go. All right, so we now have our little pot and our stand. So let's start with, I want my pot to be, I'm going to do a light blue and then put on darker blue and yellow, which will make green stripes. Hope that makes sense. So I'm going to do phthalo blue, but I'm going to lighten it up quite a bit, and I'm going to do just a wash over the whole thing. So this will be the lightest base color. And then we're going to let this dry. And let's see, I'm going to make it a little darker towards the bottom. But overall, I want it to be pretty light wash. All right, so that's the bottom of our pot. While that dries, I'm going to, what am I going to do with this plant stand here? Do I want to just go a neutral, like a gray color, like black and gray, like a metal? I don't know. All right, so the top is going to be a light gray wash. Let's lighten it up a little bit more. So we're going to pretend there's some light coming down, so it would be lighter. And then the front, and the scrolls are going to be darker. I might have to do another layer to really sell that. And we'll make the part where it connects the darkest. So this front part, I definitely want darker up against the light top. There we go. All right, so now we have this whole beautiful kind of lavender area, and our base coat on our pot is still drying. So let's get some purple. I have some Dioxazine purple in here, which is a super strong, brilliant, like royal purple color. I'm going to go really light because I want to be able to create some depth. I am just going to stipple my way through all these doodles that I did on top. But I still want to let the texture of the ink to kind of be the star of the show. So I'm not just painting straight lines up it. It can go beyond the doodle a little bit. Like I said, you can also always add more line later. And I'm still like stippling it in to give it texture. And I'm going to go ahead and take some darker purple, and while these are still wet, drop it into a few places. So we get this range of values. Values being the lightness and darkness of the color. Same color, just some are darker, some are lighter. All right, let's drop in. I keep trying to pick up my Payne's gray over there. A few darker bits here. All right, now let's get some of that greenery in there. I'm going to use sap green. And same thing, I'm just going to go with the doodles, not just painting it one flat bit of green. And I'm going to mimic some of the leaf shapes. I'm going to take this sap green, I'm going to add a little Payne's gray to it to make it darker, slightly darker. And I'm going to pop in a couple of leaf shapes. And now I have this fun. All right, so let's get back to our stripes. This is nice and dry here. So I'm going to use darker blues, but also yellow. So let me do darker phthalo. Also going to pull out, oh, it's got some stuff mixed in it, ultramarine. From the last time I used it, it's just got a layer of Payne's gray on top. And I think a little green from the green next door. Lovely colors. But I just want to go with kind of pure ultramarine. Find a spot for you. Okay, so there's our more pure ultramarine. Let's start with that. Since it's such a different color than the phthalo, I'm going to just put a layer of this. I'm going to go inside this stripe. And I'm just going to skip around a bit. All right, now I'm going to go with a darker phthalo blue. And not worrying about filling in every single nook and cranny. All right, now let's see what happens when I add some yellow over top of blue. It should start to give like a greenish cast. More green will be in the darker blue areas. So it's like a nice yellow green. Lovely. It's like this one down here is much greener than this one up here because this was much lighter. Oh, and I used, the yellow I used was nickel azo yellow. But whatever yellow you want. And if anything does appear to be too yellow and you want it to be more green, just add a layer, a light layer of one of the blues over top of it, and it'll bring it more down to green. So there we go. Let's see. Do we want to do anything with the background or just leave it white? We could just leave it white. You could also go back in with your pen. So if I wanted to add more kind of detailing onto this, you could. So let's say I wanted to do like a scalloped edge off of here. I could do that. And this you can just get fun with. Let's see, let's do like a band in here. between the two, and we'll do some scroll work. You could paint these in, or you could paint things in, or you can add them in with the pen. You can add shading with your pen too. So let's add some shading to the sides of these little scallops using cross hatching or stippling. So if I wanted to add some shading below, I can do it in paint, but I can also do it with my pen. So a little shading under our pot. That's still wet, so I don't want to mess with it too much. Like I said, if you need to add more texture to these or lengthen any of them, you could, if anything got too out of control. Let's do a little shading here. On the inside. All right. And even if you wanted to do some on the pot, you could just add some cross hatching with pen as well. So some shading on the side. It's really up to you. I'm going to darken some of these stripy areas. So this pen is great because you can stay right up on the tip of the pen for a nice thin line, but then you can also press down a little bit and the line gets nice and thick. There we go. All right, I hope you enjoyed this one, a little lavender pot on a plant stand with our ink and our watercolor. Don't forget to check out the description for links to supplies and materials that I use in this video, as well as supplies and materials that I use in my everyday painting. Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Like the video and go ahead and share with a friend if you know someone else who you think would enjoy watercolor journal painting. All right, y'all, happy painting.